What's up, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of the Twisted Twenties podcast. This is a podcast dedicated to reminding you of your God-given purpose through personal testimonies, trials, and personal revelations. I believe that God has created each and every single one of us with a purpose, for a purpose, but it's up to us to align with it. I'm your host, T. Louise, and I hope that you enjoyed today's episode. What's up, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of the Twisted Twenties podcast. I'm so excited for today's episode. I know I say it every episode, but I really am, because today I have my sister, someone who is very impactful in my life. We've grown to build a relationship. She is the firstborn daughter of a prophetess. And she has lived a life that I think is very unique. But I also think that it's very impactful. And so when you grow up in certain environments and situations, there are certain expectations that people expect you to hold. And when you go against those very expectations, it truly can change your life, your relationships, and sometimes you may suffer a little bit. And so I'm excited to have her on the show because I want her to be able to share her story and her testimony of what life was like, or what life is like when we live in disobedience and we deliberately go against God.
Hey, y'all. My name is Jocelyn. I'm so excited to be on this podcast right now. This is my girl right here. It's been rough these past few years, but now that I am not living in total disobedience anymore, I want to be able to share my story so it can help anybody that hears this.
Amen. Yeah, I know, there are certain parts to our journeys in life that we just don't share with people. But I've watched you just over the 2 years of being a part of the ministry. I've watched you, become more vulnerable and more open and share certain things. And I'm like, I gotta have her on the podcast because, there are women in their 20s. I know it's called Twisted Twenties, but it's for everybody. But I love that God gave me the name Twisted Twenties because I feel like in our 20s is when we really start to shape ourselves in adulthood and, kind of figure out, okay, like, what do I want to do? Who do I want to be? And I really believe that if we can heal and fix some things in our 20s, it will really help us in the long run. Like, I know people say your 20s should be full of fun and traveling and doing X, Y, and Z. But there are mistakes that we make in our 20s that can be prevented if we do the work now versus 30s, 40s, 50s. You know what I'm saying? Heck, my own grandmother, she was dealing with things. My granny was in her 70s, 80s. So it's like, I believe that in our 20s, we should be able to heal from things. So I want you to share a little bit about yourself, like who you are, not, outside the firstborn daughter of a prophetess. But I want to know, who is Jocelyn, and what was JoJo's, I call her JoJo. What was your childhood like, and what was life like for you growing up?
Okay, so my childhood at first started off great, actually. I went back and forth to Switzerland with my grandparents that adopted my mom. So during the summertime, I was back and forth, and we lived in New York. My mom has her own story, which will be put out there, but my mom and I didn't have the luxury. Well, not saying that we have it now, but it wasn't as nice as it is now to me. She, was a stripper, and I was going back and forth to my grandma's and her. And then I stayed in Switzerland when I left New York when I was 10. I stayed in Switzerland for 2.5 years, because usually I'm just there for the summer, but I wanted to stay a little longer to see how that would be. And that was the longest I also been without my mother. So I think everything, now that I'm thinking about it, started back then, because I was doing things at a young age, which is crazy now I'm looking back at it. When they say when you leave the house, the covering doesn't cover you, that's basically, now that I'm thinking about it. And then when my sister was born, I went back to the States. And as my mom would say, the teenage years I was good as a child, but them teenage years.
She do say that. I have teenagers for me when she was a baby.
And she is not lying. Now that I look back at it, I was toe up from the flow up. I was bad. When I say disobedient. I had sneaked people into the house while she was gone. It was bad. I was getting into a bunch of stuff, but I also had to watch my little sister at the time and go to school at the same time. So I think with all that on my shoulder, with having to watch my sister all the time at 13 and still have to go to school and wake up in the middle of the night while she was waking up in the middle of the night, whether she was sick or a bottle or whatnot, it was a lot on my shoulders. And I started doing more things, I guess, to cope with it. But and then my brother came, and it was another thing on my shoulders to be around them all the time and help raise them, and not being able to, like parents would say when they have a child, they can't follow their dreams. I couldn't go to college that I wanted to, or go out and hang out with friends if I wanted to, because I was always stuck with my brother and my sister.
So you feel like it was overwhelming?
It was very overwhelming. And back then, my biggest thing, which if I could tell my younger self, one advice I would give my younger self would be to speak up. My biggest thing was I never spoke up. And I feel like my life actually would have been a little different, because then my parents would know how I felt.
Gotcha.
And I never spoke up, so they didn't know that I felt all this pressure and overwhelming and anger, because I never told them anything. Because everything in my head, how they grew me up, was my stepdad and my mom was, oh, if you say this, it's disrespectful. And if you say this off how you feel, it's disrespectful. So I'm thinking everything that's my opinion or how I feel is disrespectful, so I can't really come to you and tell you how I'm really feeling. If you're telling me, oh, clean the house, fold the clothes, do this, and watch your siblings, and do this. Mind you, I'm still in school, in high school, and, my mom doesn't speak well English, so she can't really help me with homework, and my dad couldn't really help me with homework, so I had to do all that by myself, watch my sister, and do all my chores at the same time, and it became a lot for me. And that's what the main reason why I ended up moving out.
So you didn't tell your parents how you felt?
No.
Even though you were overwhelmed?
Yeah.
You were angry, and I assume there was some sort of built up resentment there.
Oh, yes, for years.
So do you feel like growing up that there were certain type of standards that you kind of had to measure up to, as the firstborn, as the big sister? And then, of course, especially once your mom started walking in her calling, were there expectations that you feel that were added onto those responsibilities?
Most definitely. I feel like my parents just thought that I probably couldn't just do everything. And because I always showed it as, okay, I'll do the laundry, I'll fold it, I'll do this, I'll do that, because I didn't want to get in trouble or anything. It made it, I feel like it always made it seem like I can just handle all of this with no problem. But really inside, I was struggling. I was crying almost every night, and it pushed me more away from God, because I was like, we're talking about church. We're always in church since I was younger. But at the same time, my parents are putting this all on my shoulders, and I felt like they just didn't care. And it was just so overwhelming, and I would cry and be like, God, why do I have to keep going through this? Why do I have to keep going through this? And not realizing and seeing my disobedience, sleeping around or cussing and not behaving or or doing bad in school. Like, I wanted to drop out and everything. That also was really just my fault now that I'm older and thinking about it, because I was putting myself in this situation from my disobedience. So, but then I started condemning myself and blaming myself for years. Before I had my child, for years, I would be like, oh, well, this is my fault anyways, because if you wouldn't did this, your life would have been different. So no matter what, obviously, nobody has no problems with mom. Nobody has no problems with dad. So obviously, this is all my fault. So no matter what I do, it's my fault. And that's when all the suicide stuff started. And I tried to drive. I would be driving at night, try to drive myself into an oncoming truck and everything. What? Yeah. I took like 10 pills and like kind of passed out. And I remember hearing this girl that I used to call my friend. She was yelling on the phone and she called my mom. And I told my mom, I was like, how I try to, basically take my whole life, because I was so tired and overwhelmed. I couldn't do it anymore. I didn't want to live another day, because another day meant doing the same thing over and over for years. And this has been going on for years. And I was just so tired. I just wanted to die almost every day. I was so done with it.
Now, was this when you were still living with your parents, or was this when you was in New York on your own?
No, this was all with my parents.
Oh my God.
And I remember hating my mom even more, because I told her and she just shrugged it off. Like, I just told you I just tried to kill myself. And you're just like, huh? And I was just like, wow, Mom, like, you really don't love me. That's probably why you want to make me do all this and do that. And I feel like they were just taking me for granted and taking advantage of me just to clean their house and watch their kids. And I ended up growing so much far apart from my parents. So I moved out, got pregnant not too long after, probably like 3 months after.
Joel was like,
okay, you want to move out? I got something for you. Yeah, he got me good. But of course my son is a blessing, but it's been rough since I've had him, trying to pay rent, do this on my own, car breaking down, having to get another car, having to work 2 jobs while I was pregnant till like literally the week before I gave birth. And then moving, I had to humble myself and ask my parents to move back in. And I remember having a newborn, but this time it was different because this was actually my child. I helped raise my brother and sister. They've been sleeping in my bed since they were babies. Their cribs were in my bed. They slept in my bed. They were always with me. But this time it was different. And I didn't really get much help from his father. So when I moved back in here, we call it the orange room. I was living in the orange room, and it was just, I was going through postpartum depression. I was going through the fact that I was around the kids again, which of course
triggered you.
Yeah. And I never told my parents how overwhelming it was. So
yeah,
I was like, well, I ain't got nowhere to go. I have this baby. I can't, be homeless, because this is my decision I made to keep him and have him. And now I can't be on the streets with him. Like, what kind of mother would I be? And I already know my mom's going to talk bad about me, because she's going to be like, haha, look at you. You got pregnant. Now you can't take care of your baby. And I was just going through all of this and the postpartum depression. And it got so bad to like, I had to lie about leaving because it was so much on me. And even my mom one time was like, your son is crying. Can leave the dishes alone and go take care of him. But in my head, I'm just like, for me to stay here, I need to make sure that the dishes are clean and it's mopped and swept and everything. And I even put my son second, but I didn't know how to juggle it all. It was so much for me. Like, I felt like I was losing it in my brain. Like, I felt like I was losing it. So I had to lie and say I was going to stay at the father of my son's family's cousin's house. I don't know. I don't remember what lie I made up. But I ended up staying with a friend. That didn't work out. And I left there and then stayed with his father. And eventually I ended up moving to New York. When I moved to New York, I thought it would be all rainbows and diamonds, and it really wasn't. At first it felt like it because I haven't seen that side of my family for so long, and when I was younger, my father and I, of course, I guess as a daddy's girl, I loved him so much, but I felt like he never really wanted me because he would promise to see me and leave me hanging every single time.
My daddy did too.
I literally can remember sitting on the stairs with my backpack and waiting till it was nighttime.
Like,
it was crazy.
My mama would let me.
Yeah.
She would let me, and she would come outside and she would be like, baby, he's not coming.
Yeah, she said the same
And I would
thing.
start bawling.
She was like, I got food, your favorite food. And I'm like, I don't want it. She was like, come in, baby. And I was like, no, he said he's coming today. He promised me this time he's not going to, because he was like, I'm going to do it this time. And then I ended up resenting my sister Kendra because most of the time,
relationship.
And then most of the time I found out he was over there at my grandma's house with my sister. And in my head as a child, I'm like, you don't want me because clearly you keep going over there with Kendra and you're not coming to see me, and I'm just asking to see you. Like, I'm not asking for much. So I ended up resenting her, resenting that side of the family. And then when I went there, I kind of rekindled with them, and I didn't really give my father a choice because I just showed up. He didn't know. And I was like, hey, I'm living here now. And he was just like, oh, like to stay? And I was like, yeah, now you got me. You can't get around me. And I was like, now that I'm older, we're going to build this relationship. Because you can't go nowhere now.
I didn't have the best relationship with my father growing up, but I did notice, like, when I went off to college, that's when we really started to build our relationship. And I thought to myself, I'm like, maybe I really didn't need him as a child, but maybe I really did need him in college, even though I didn't listen to none of the advice he gave me about boys, sex, and all that.
Well, at least I think I had that.
I was like, I don't care what you talking about. I am at Arby's.
Exactly.
I'm at a buffet. I'm like, we went last night.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah. So, first of all, I didn't know that you tried to, kill yourself. I really sympathize with people who go through that because, I understand what mental torment is like. And I believe that people who deal with suicide, it's literal mental torment.
It is.
And so, thank you for sharing that because, there may be someone that may be going through that.
To be honest with you, it didn't stop there.
I'm sure
it stopped. I'm sure at the beginning of this year.
I'm sure.
I've had, even because my son and trying to work and be here and trying to get back into the motion of, being around my siblings now that they're older and being overwhelmed sometimes. I was just, maybe he's better off with his father. Maybe I should just give up because clearly, like, I'm still going through all this in my head.
Yeah. But see, that's what happens when we do live in disobedience. Like, I know for me, like, when I practiced witchcraft, when I was in Nashville, I promise you, even though my mom was gone, I still feel like I was still under her covering. The moment we moved to Atlanta is when the mental torment, the depression, the drug abuse, like all that started kicking in. I'm just like,
yeah.
I thought I left that in Nashville.
Exactly.
Because I left all that in Nashville and I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna start over, moving to Atlanta, starting fresh. And I still was dealing with that. And it's like, no, when you are in disobedience and you rebel against God, the first thing that the enemy attacks is your mind. Because if he can get you here, he doesn't have to do anything else.
That's it.
Because it's like you're gonna destruct everything else around you.
Exactly.
So it's like he doesn't have to do anything. He just has to plant a seed.
Yep.
And then you will just nurture and water and water and water.
Destroying yourself. Yeah.
So he don't have to do nothing. So it's like when people be like, "Oh, the enemies attack me." No, baby. He planted a seed. Now you are destroying everything else.
Everything.
So he doesn't have to work hard. But I also think that when we go through stuff like that, it can really change our perspective and our relationship with God. And I'm just wondering, like, curious for you, like, did everything, like, when you decided to leave home, or even before you decided to leave home, when you were dealing with everything that you were dealing with your parents, did that change your perspective? Like,
oh yeah,
were there moments like where you were like, this just not what I want to do?
Yeah, I definitely multiple times. I'm glad he didn't give up on me. But multiple times I was like, this God thing ain't for me. it ain't for me, because
I had to jump through all these hoops.
listen, I've been going through this for years, and nothing. It felt like it was getting worse and worse, and every year it felt like it got worse. I'm talking, I had anxiety so bad to where New York is a lot of people, and I would go to Manhattan and feel like in the movies, like all you hear is the cars, and I'd be paranoid, and I was smoking heavy, and I would have to smoke before I walk outside the door. Before I go out there in the streets, I would have to smoke, because I felt I didn't feel calm. It's like I had all these. It's like that movie Inside Out. I had all these voices inside my head that were just constantly going off all the time.
I used to call it wake and bake, like they say.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. In the mornings, the first thing I would do is smoke.
Oh yeah.
Like I ain't even done nothing.
I didn't even eat. I ain't brushing my teeth. I at least said I started saying at least good morning, God, but at the same time, I felt like that's even terrible for me to say that and then
go smoke.
Yeah, and I was so bad. Let me tell you, I was so bad while I would pray over my blunt. And I know that sounds so... When I say... I'm keeping 100 right now. I would roll up and be like...
Danielle, babe want to laugh so bad.
I was so used to praying over my food.
Mm-hmm.
And chips and everything, to where I was done. I would lick it. I'd finish rolling it up. God bless. Oh, Lord. You know what? Let me just shut up,
Lord,
because
don't allow no fentanyl or anything.
I was like, please don't let me die after this blunt. I know I shouldn't even pray to you about this, but I'm trying to learn how to talk to you like I talk to regular people. This is a new leaf. I'm trying to do better. I would sit there and I'd be like, this is terrible, Joe. You praying over your blunt. This is terrible. So yeah. And then I was in so much disobedience when I moved to New York, and I was wilding, and I went and got birth control, the Nexplanon that goes in your arm. And apparently I'm that one in a million where it broke, and that doesn't happen. To the point where the doctor didn't even believe me until I was literally in her office. And even when I was in her office, I told her, she's like, let me take a look at it. I'm pretty sure it didn't break, because that doesn't happen. I've done these like 1,000 times. So she goes to touching on my arm, and she's like, oh my gosh, it is in 2 pieces. So they had to do another incision, pull it out, and then I had to put another one in. I didn't have to. I put another one in because, I still was living in disobedience. I still wanted to get mine. But having the Nexplanon, it was a plus in my head, but at the same time, I had a period for like 4 months straight.
I suffered that. That was a consequence of me too. I had long periods.
It was the worst.
Horrible.
The worst.
Heavy with heavy blood clots.
The worst. I'm talking about people thinking that the first 2 days is bad. Imagine having it for 3 months, 4 months straight. No break at all. It was bad. I ran through so much pads, like not to be too much TMI, but it was terrible.
And I don't like tampons. So.
I don't either. And I was using the purple pads, the long ones that go from your stomach to your back every day.
The one that you swear people can see when
yes. I'm like, I might as well put a diaper on and just walk around with a diaper at this point. No shame to diapers, because they apparently
some people do use them.
Yeah, and I heard that it's like really more comfortable than worried about pads. But yeah, I had that, and then I was like, no, you know what? I'm bleeding too much. I'm taking this out of my arm. And when I took it out, I went on the pill because I was just so scared of getting pregnant again. And it was already so much on me doing it by myself with my son that I was like, the worst thing I want to do, the last thing I want to do is get pregnant again. So I was on the pills. And the pills helped after a while, but I only had it for like 2 months, like right before I moved back to Florida. And I had just finished a pill, and my gyno, she was like, oh, just write me on the chat and I'll subscribe some more for you. prescribe some more for you, and I'll send it to whatever pharmacies in Florida. I got you. And I was like, oh, yes, say less. I'm going to go to Florida. I don't got to worry about nothing. I'm got my birth control. She never replied to me. So I said, the Lord, you hear me? When I say the Lord was on me, he shut it down. I wrote her on like 3 different email, 2 different chats. No response. None at all. I had no refills, no nothing. So I had no choice but to not be on birth control. And I haven't been on it since. And my mom kept telling me, you need to get on that birth control. And I ain't listened to her. And, well, I had no choice because the Lord made it where I had no choice.
I feel like sometimes some of us, like, we don't get like some people be like, yeah, I can't do that because the Lord will make an example out of me. Like, some people can get away with it, but then you got other children of God who can't get away with certain stuff.
I'm that one.
Clearly.
Okay.
The Lord was like, I said no.
You hear me? And since you want to be hard-headed, I'm going to make it to a way where you can't get no more. I was looking up the websites because some people were like, oh, there's ways where you can get birth control without getting a prescription, and it could deliver to your house, like contacts. And I looked up everything, and nothing would have worked for me. I said, you know what? You got it.
You was trying to get that birth control so
I can continue being in disobedience.
Like, well, I'm gonna get this birth control. I'm still gonna have sex. I'm not pregnant.
You hear me? I was ready. I was like, okay, I'm stopping talking to this one person. I'm gonna go to Florida. I'm gonna find me a good person. Then when it happens, and I'm not gonna get pregnant. I'm not gonna be being pregnant in my mama's house so she could talk about me. And I was like, and the Lord said, no, baby, not today. Yeah.
It's so funny how we literally will plan our sins out ahead of time and then come up with a whole plan to quote unquote try to protect us.
Yeah.
It's, some of us are not that lucky. Well, I don't want to say lucky, but some of us are not that blessed.
We don't get
to be able to experience the fullness of God's grace. Sometimes some of us have to experience the hardship of our consequences. I know you say you're a mom, to my baby. It's my baby. Do you feel like some of your consequences or your actions of disobedience had an effect on him?
Most definitely. Actually, what I noticed now, didn't before, but when I was in New York, my son was constantly sick. And I was constantly getting it in. And he was constantly sick. And it's like every time I would hook up with my little boo thing, my son would be sick that same day or day after. And when I say this kid had a cold every week, every single week he had a cold. I'm talking about like for months straight. And everybody was like, oh, he's sick again. He's sick again. He's sick again. And I'm just like, yeah, it's the weather in New York and it's the dust and the dirt. This is not good for my asthma. It's not good for him. That's why he keep getting sick.
Not, two and two together.
Not at all. I'm like, yeah, New York, it's we live by the subway. We live on the Ave, so it's dusty and, all these kids bringing germs and stuff. That's what it is. Yeah. It's not me at all, I'm just having sex here and there, My disobedience is not doing nothing for me. And then I came here, and once I stopped sleeping around, my son got sick maybe one time in a whole year. And then when he started school, of course, that first 2 weeks he started school, he had a little cold. But when I'm talking about, it didn't last more than 3 days at all. And since then, like if he gets a cold from school, of course I pray about it and I pray over him. And he takes his vitamins now, and this kid's not sick for more than 3 days.
It reminds me of my friend. I'm not going to say her name, but I have a friend, a childhood friend. And when her daughter was first born, she was constantly sick. When I say constantly sick, she had that hand, foot, and mouth thing. And it was just like constantly something was wrong with her. I'm like, dang, she's sick again. I'm like, what's wrong? And it's like, now that you say that, it's like, sometimes I really don't think that people put two and two together.
You know what
I'm saying? Like, you just think it's just something natural.
Mm-hmm.
It's not spiritual. And then you got some people who are like, you don't have to equate everything to the spiritual thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I really believe, the more I've grown in my relationship with God, I am able to really see everything from a spiritual perspective. Yep. Everything doesn't have to have a spiritual perspective attached to it. Mm-hmm. But we can look at everything from a spiritual perspective. And sometimes, unfortunately, thankful I don't have any kids yet.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I don't have any kids yet.
Mm-hmm.
But I am thankful that I'm able to have, examples in my life of what it looks like when you as a parent struggle and deal with disobedience and you go against God and your kids suffer for it. And that's not fair to them.
It's not.
So it's like, just imagine if a parent never gets it right. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And they just continue to be deliberately disobedient and the child continues to suffer. Now, I'm not saying that every sickness and disease that a child has is due to a parent's disobedience.
Yeah.
There are, certain things that do happen, but I'm saying it's those parts in life where it is attached to the parents. What was that Batman movie we was watching? Was it Batman we was watching, babe? And he was like, yes, it was Batman, the one with Robert Pattinson. And the dude, what was that man name that was trying to kill him? Hush. He was trying to kill Robert Pattinson, who played Batman. And he was basically saying that the son must pay for the sins of the father. So it's like, why would I want my kids suffering because of my own sequence?
And it's messed up, but when you're doing it, you're not thinking of that. Because I sure enough wasn't thinking about, if I do this, my baby gonna be this and I'm never gonna be that. I was not thinking that at all. I was thinking about me and me and me. I was selfish. But now, the journey that I'm on now, I think about my son all the time. Like, there's generational curses that's from my grandma to my mom. And because I love my son so much, I don't care who it is, I'm willing to break whatever curses I gotta break. Because I don't want him to go through that.
Yeah. And I feel like
pass it on.
Supposed to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, even with me, like, I'm not a parent yet, but I feel like I do so much. Like, I don't want to say research, but like, I feel like I prepare so much because I'm like, I have to get it right now. Because like, I don't want to have kids and then I'm still dealing with, pornography addictions. I'm still dealing with drug addiction, still dealing with lust, still dealing with pride and all these different issues. And it's like, now my child is dealing with it.
Yeah.
And I feel like I have to get it. I feel like people can't stand getting on social media and these rutabagas. I can't stand the rutabagas on the internet who be talking about, I don't want to get married. I'd rather have a child. Blah, blah, blah. And it's like, I don't think people genuinely think about who you're sleeping with. Mm-hmm. Then you have kids with them. I don't think people, and I think,
But they're not taught that.
No, they're not.
And we're blessed to be able to learn it now so we can make sure we break it.
I be thinking to myself, like, I'm so thankful for God's grace, because I know for a fact, if I had got pregnant by any of them dudes I was having sex with, I would be miserable. I don't want to think about it. Like, I just be thinking about that sometimes. I'm like, God really protected me.
I love the word grace, baby, because
it is.
When I wake up, that word grace is so heavy for me, because it could have been me. It should have been.
It should have been me.
But
you can't abuse it either. Some people.
Yes, but once you realize, you don't want to abuse it, because you just like, what if that next time you just not so lenient on me?
Nope.
I don't want it to be a next time.
Because I feel like grace is there for us when we unintentionally and fall.
Exactly.
But it's like when we deliberately go against God, it's like Auntie say, it's like you spitting in God's face.
Exactly.
And that's so disrespectful.
Exactly. And that's so like that one.
Even though God will still show us grace in that moment, but guess what? Now we still really got to deal with our consequences. And that's why it's like, it's so important for us not to do that. Like, me and babe got a hard word tonight, from from the prophet. But I'm not going to deliberately spit in God's face and be like, okay, God, I don't care what you said. I'm gonna go where I want to go. I'm going to go, even though it's a hard action to take. I'm going to do it because I want to be obedient to God.
Yeah.
And I don't want to have to deal with the repercussions and the consequences of going against him.
Facts.
Especially when he already told me, this is where you're going.
Facts.
Tears and all over you.
Yeah.
Do you feel like God tried to use your son to speak to you during that time? Like, were you even aware that maybe God was using your son to speak to you? If you feel like he was?
Honestly, not really, but what I can say is because I couldn't figure out why I was brought back. And I didn't realize maybe literally, I'm going to say 3-4 months when I factory reset myself, basically. And I was just like, my father was saying how he was going to buy a house. And basically, I had to figure out on my own what I was going to do.
He was going to buy a house in New York.
Yeah. He was going to move out of New York, actually, and go to, Maryland or somewhere and buy a house.
Still staying up north.
So everybody had to, me and my uncle was there, and I was like, and my first thought is, I can't just go back to my grandma's or anything like that. I need to have something stable and a good environment and stuff like that for my son. And I was just like, dang.
Did he buy the house?
No, he's still there. And that's why I feel like God did that for me.
To force you to move.
You hear me? Because if not, I would not have gone. Honestly, I would have been still be there with my father, trying to get every little time I can with him, because I only saw him on weekends. He works so hard, I only see him on weekends. And he'll sleep on weekends. And so it's mostly it's just on Sundays that I would be see him in his room, but still I'll be able to see him passing by, and that would be a lot for me. But to let that go, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna have to go back to Florida because I feel like
gonna go.
I feel like that's a better choice. I can't afford rent by myself in New York. I'm struggling. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to do it before school starts. And me and my sister laugh about it because we were just like, well, we did all that and he's still there. And now I'm here. And I always God, why'd you bring me back here? Why'd you bring me back here? And now that my eyes are open, I'm like, God, I thank you for brought me back here, because I would have missed a lot. I wouldn't have learned. And because me and my mom and my dad, we barely talked, because
when you were in New York,
when I was in New York, we barely talked. And when she started before she started the ministry, I didn't even still believe in it, because I was just in my head, I'm I had a lot of anger built up with me and my mom. When I say I had a lot of anger built, I barely talked to my mom, to the fact where I was just, people were losing their moms, and I was just to the point where I was just listen, I love you, but at this point, I'll miss you, but it's not hitting me like that how it would other people. And it's sad to say that, but that's how bad it was between me and my mom. Now we're close, but I was I'm gonna have to go back to that. I'm gonna have to follow the rules. I'm gonna not be able to go out, and I got my own car, and I feel like I felt in my head, I already made a scenario of the worst,
what life would be like, and it was the worst.
And it was the worst. And I was just but I'm about to be 30, and I got a whole child, but I'm still gonna be treated like this and this and that and that, like a kid, and I'm gonna hate it there. But now that I'm older, and I finally spoke up for the first time in my life since I've been back here to my parents. I finally spoke up. I finally told them how I felt about things. And my mom still to this day, she's like, really? You that's I didn't even know. I would have did this differently if I knew that. And now, for months, I was mad at myself. I was condemning myself
for not speaking up,
because I didn't speak up. I messed up my own life. Is how I've been feeling for months while I was here. And when I got on Just Prayer Please, every single time I was on it, I would cry, because I'm God, I want to have my own story. I want to have my testimony. I want to have that relationship with you, but I have all this anger built up in me, and I don't want to be a hypocrite. But I'm out here still smoking, still trying to deal with my problems. Still, like, I would tell my sister, I'll be like, I don't know how I'm ever going to quit while I'm living here, because there's no way. With all the frustration, I can't have my own peace in my mind being here. And it was just so, I couldn't walk past the orange room that we call orange room here and not feel like this bad feeling in my stomach. Every single day I passed by, that door was closed for months. Every time my parents are here, they open it, I close it. I don't care who open it, I close that door. I'm not opening that door. I close the bathroom that's connected to the door. I closed that door completely, because every time I open that door, I felt all the pain that I went through when I first came here with my son, all the pain that I went through when I visited, all the pain through all my childhood. I felt it, and it was all in that room. And it wasn't until I finally was like, God, everybody's so close to my mom, and I'm the only one that got a problem with her. What is it? Like, I'm like, yo, Louise, we could talk to her like they close and everything. I'm like, what they see in her? Why everybody wanna, prophet is this and prophet is that? And I was hated low key. I was like, yo, I was salty. I was like, all right, you know what? It's me. It gotta be. All right. Oh, you know what, God, I give up. And I'm not gonna say God told me, because I don't really can't say yet that I hear from God, or if it's my thoughts, because I've been battling with my thoughts for so long.
Yeah.
I can't tell. But I was sitting there like, if you can forgive this ninja for cheating on you and having a girl go to his house at the same time you pulling up at his house over and over, but you can't forgive your own mama, how did that make you feel? How did it make you look?
She wasn't aware of.
Exactly. And even if she was, the more I hear about stuff with her mom, my grandma, and her, and the more I was in church, I realized, like, she really couldn't, like, I feel bad more for my mom, because it was a generational curse.
Yeah, it was.
That she undeliberately did to me, but not knowing she was doing it to me.
Yeah. Me and Babe had that conversation all the time. I think it's so important for us to understand that our parents are actual people.
Exactly.
You know, sometimes we only look at them.
Yes.
That's my mom. That's my dad.
You should know better. You're my mom.
Yeah. But we also have to look at it as they're people who were also children.
Yes.
Who also went through trauma.
Exactly.
And, you know, different things in their childhood. And I think, too, that when my mom taught me that, I think that's why it was so much easier for me to forgive my dad. You know, because my mom would always say, oh, you know, your dad can only show you the love that he was shown. And I'm like, well, that's not enough. Like, I used to get so angry. And I'm like,
Father,
I'm feeling, I don't feel wanted. I don't feel loved. Now I'm out here in the world seeking love, men, seeking validation, men, because my father didn't get it.
And that's the same boat.
And I also found out that I resented my mom. It was like the harder that she pushed and tried to be both parents, I resented her for it, because I'm like, yeah, I see your love, but I want his love.
Exactly.
Because as
nothing she can do too.
As a little girl, you want your dad
so much.
And so I hated her.
Yeah.
And I will never forget, me and my mom was homeless, and I still regret it to this day, and she's gone. But I told her, I was like, Mom, I hate you. And when I say those words, it was like as if I had cut her with a knife.
Yeah.
And it broke her so bad, and I felt horrible.
Yeah.
And I can never take those words back. And I didn't mean it. Like, of course, I feel like I meant it in that moment.
Yeah, I did.
But of course, it wasn't like I really meant it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was just being the drama.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's like looking at it from a perspective of my mom dealt with issues, you know, and I think that it's so important for us to look at it from that lens. Not saying that it makes the forgiveness easier, but it does help us to understand that we can't hold grudges towards people.
Yeah.
Because there are also people who may have unhealed wounds.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And once I gave it all to God for real, when they say the weight is lifted off your shoulders, for the first time I can actually relate to that. I'm talking about all that anger. It's like I open a door, and when I close it, I forgot what was in back of that door. I forgot all that anger I had towards her. All of it. Everything was gone once I finally surrendered to God. For the first time in my whole life, I actually, like, to this day, I could talk to her about stuff. I'm like, yeah, well, you know, you guys made me do this, and you guys made me do that. I don't know how, but she's like, what? And I'm like, oh, yeah, I went through it.
I love how y'all relationship has just, like, blossomed.
But it's never been like that ever.
No,
this is the first time in my life.
I'm like, but you would never know. The way that you guys interact with each other now, you would think that you guys have always been like that.
And I prayed for it.
And I think that that's how it should be. Like, we shouldn't be able to see the scars.
Yeah.
How the relationship should be.
Yeah.
But I love that. Like, even when that night that y'all was out till like 3 a.m. and you called me and I was just like, what are y'all doing? But it's like, it's stuff like that. I'm just like.
And I never went out with my mom until recently. It's the first time I've ever even been. I see people go out with her all the time, and I'm like, they always talk about how fun she is, and I was always young, so I couldn't, like my sister now, and I couldn't go.
Bless her heart. I want to hang
so bad. But now that I'm older, and she'll be like, you want to meet me at this place? I'm like, say less. I'm going to put Jay to sleep, and I'm out there. I'm out. I was like, good night, baby. I love you. I'll see you later, and I'll put him to bed. And I'm like, Ma, I'll be there in 15 minutes. Where we going? Where we doing? I'm like, and then she's like, come on, let's hang out. And I'm like, shoot, say less, because this is so cool. I'm part of the Cool Kids now. I'm like, this is what I've been missing. Yeah, I love it, because now I can talk to her about things that really used to hurt me. Mm-hmm. But when I talk to her about it, it doesn't hurt me. So I can actually deliver the message how it was supposed to be delivered. I can be like, well, you know, I used to be like, I prayed for a husband that wouldn't know you at all, because I didn't want you to have no ties with him at all. I didn't want you in my relationship at all.
Now you want it.
Now
I need to.
Now I'm asking her, oh, what should I text this guy? And what should I? Because I was always, even though I was out there, I never like experienced the whole dating phase.
Yeah.
It was just like hookups, because for me, my hurt with my dad and everything I was going through, sex was the first drug that I went to. And it is an addiction. I don't care what nobody say. Now I'm like,
plenty of people in therapy for sex.
Okay, because now it's different. Now I'm just like, okay, when I have my husband, it's different. But that was my first drug that I would get mad at this. All right, hey, where you at? What you doing? Meet up. Boom. 2-3 times a day just to get all that off my chest. Like, it would be all the time. And I would resent myself so much to where I even got back to an ex that I was with. And this time when I got back to him, it was the worst relationship I've ever been in again, because he was broken. I thought I could fix him. And when I say it was bad,
that's the worst.
It was a lot of emotional abuse and verbal abuse, and it took me months to get over things where now I could shower without having to worry about somebody coming in the room, or I would be sleeping and he would use my face while I was sleeping and go through my phone, delete pictures of me and my ex on a cruise. But my ex is not even in the picture, but the fact that I went on the cruise with him, he deleted pictures, and those were like pictures like with me and the parrot, holding a parrot or a monkey, like something that you don't experience a lot.
Right.
And now those memories are gone because he was just so insecure. I couldn't use the bathroom without him. He was at work, but while he was at work the whole shift, he was on the phone with me until I picked him up. And if I had to use the bathroom or if my phone died, all hell break loose. I'm getting 50 messages. Oh, you ain't ish. You this, you that, you this. Like, I'm talking about, he would talk me down so bad. And that's the same person. And that's what I'm saying. I was in so much disobedience to God, knocked me down to my knees. And I used to say, well, I mean, it's already out there, but I did get an abortion from him because I did get pregnant, and he was like, oh, I think it only happened because I didn't answer his call because I was on another phone with, I think, like a doctor's appointment or something. So he thought I was messing with somebody, of course. And he was like, "You ain't ish. If you don't answer my call, it's gonna be problems." And then I was like, "I'm on the phone with the doctors." "No, you not. You lying. You know what? If you don't go to the place and get an abortion, I'm gonna schedule it for you, and I'm gonna drag you over there, and I'm gonna make sure you get it on this and that." And I was just like, that's so hurtful for you to say that. And that really broke me. And I was there when I got it. When I got the abortion and I took the pill. And that's why I can never forget. Like, Thanksgiving was a really special day for me because it was a day where, of course, I love food, but also where the family gets together. And that was a day where I had lost it. And it's very painful because you have to feel it going through your body. And I was crying. I've never felt so much pain in my life. And I get bad period cramps. And I can never get that out my head now. And I have a tattoo to remind myself, like, you lost this because of what your disobedience and what you were doing. And you thought you were doing good, but now look at you. And I had to lose that. And the fact that I was telling everybody, "Oh yeah, I'm pregnant in my family," and we were talking about like the dates and everything and planning all this stuff out, and just to lose it. And then he still wanted to have another baby after that. I was like, don't even touch me. And then on top of that, he was talking to other females next to me in the bed. And I'm just like, but you're talking about me? I couldn't even have a conversation with my father. He would accuse me having sex with my father. And
oh, that's sick.
I'm talking about, this man was sick. He would be like, "Oh," and my uncle, I'll talk to my uncle. He would be like, "Oh, this and that." Or like every person that looked at me, "Oh yeah, you mess with him. Oh, you mess with him." Like random strangers, "You mess with him. You mess with him." This and that, and everything would be. It was terrible, and I went through so much because of that. I couldn't sleep with no doors open. I couldn't shower with no doors closed. I only could shower with see-through curtains because I was so subconscious about being in a shower and him being there on the toilet watching me because I couldn't shower by myself. And mind you, it was a bathroom with no windows. I'm like, what am I going to do? Have somebody come through the vent? Like, listen to yourself. It was bad. It was bad.
I definitely protected you because you sound like a serial killer.
He's bad. And I feel for his other baby mamas because...
And that was when you was in New York?
Yes. I actually flew him to New York.
Oh, where was he from?
He's from Florida. Yes. We were together when I was in Disobedience. We were together a while ago. And I felt like that was the only person that I actually knew. So I was like, let me try it again with him.
Girl, you flew him?
I flew him to New York. I got him a job to my aunt. I got him a job through my aunt. I had him stay with me. Mind you, he had to go back to Florida. I paid for him to come back because he had lost his car. So I paid for him to come back and everything. Bought him clothes. Took care of him. When I say I was bad, I already know.
He was down bad, man.
Girl. It was. When I say it was bad, it was really bad with him. To his mom, he's not even allowed to stay at his mom if anything happened. His mom don't even want him in her house no more. He's not welcome there. He burned so many bridges with all of his family members, and I'm just like, nah, I could fix him. I could heal him. I could lead him to God. No, he was killing me more than I was trying to fix him. And I was just like, I can't do this no more. And then my aunt was like, this is not healthy because what if something happens to Jay? And I was like, you know what?
Yeah.
That was it for me.
The example.
That was it for me. Yep. And I said, you're going to have to go. I can't do this no more. I couldn't be on the phone with my sister. No, he lives in Florida. That's why I was also scared to move back to Florida because I was wondering if he finds out I'm in Florida and he's going to try to, because he has this thing in his mind that I slept with his brothers, his cousins and all that stuff. So I don't trust his own mind.
Don't they live in Florida?
Yes.
But you was in New York.
When I was in Florida, before I moved to New York, he thinks that because I was close with that side of the family.
He need to get checked out.
He needs to be in a mental institution for the rest of his life. He needs to be baptized 700 times.
He might have lesion.
Like lesions of lesions. Okay?
Like what Auntie taught us today.
Yes. When I say it was bad, I don't trust him at all, and I was scared to move back here because of him. That was my last resort, is I wanted to move back here because I didn't want him to know I was here.
So after that with him, was that when you moved back to Florida, or
after him? I took a break from guys because it was a lot on me.
Of course.
And then I was with one person and I thought it was great, but he was the type of person that didn't want to just be with one person. And that just wasn't working for me. Like, everything else was great until that. And I was just like, I can't do that. And then the whole thing with my father saying he had to leave. I came back here. He never left. I've been here almost 2 years in July. And I was like, you know what? I guess this was God's way of getting me come back here because he had a plan for me. And it was rough at first being back here, but after a while, I mean, after I surrendered everything to him, thanks to you and your husband, testimonies, that's what spoke to me. And I said, you know what? I'm going to do it like they did it. I need that. That's what I want right there. I don't know what I'm dealing with right now. I don't want to have to stay up and sleep 3 hours every day because my mind won't shut up. I don't want to be able to not focus or always frustrated at the kids. The kids would call me Miss Grumpy. I was always walking around here frustrated at everybody. I didn't want to be touched. I didn't want nobody hugging me when I came back here. They was like, give me a hug, and I'd be like, okay, that's enough. Like, don't touch me no more. Thank you. You had enough for the week. Like, you good now. I only wanted hugs from my son because I feel like he's the only one in this world that I feel like would never treat me the way my parents did, my exes did, my everybody else. I was like, Jay's the only one that I got left. He's the only one I got left until I realized when he grows older, he's going to leave me too.
Yep, that's what the Bible says.
So I need to get right with God because he will never leave me. And that's what got to me. And I said, you know what? And like my mom said, like I people don't realize that they could idolize things. I idolized my son. I put him above everything. He needed something, I was there. He did this, I was there. Like I spoiled him. I did this. Of course, it backfired a little bit, but I'm gonna nip it in the butt. But I idolized him like crazy. You couldn't tell me nothing about my son. And to the fact where I hated my mom so much, I was like, nah, I'm not having her watch him. Well, and I was living here, and I was like, you're not watching my son because when when he was younger and he was a baby, you ain't barely picked him up not one time. So I'm talking about the anger that I had against my mom was deep.
I think it's so good on her part too, to be able to recognize, hey, I made mistakes. Because some parents, they work like they ain't did nothing.
That's in fact. And when I heard her say sorry for the things, but she said a sorry for the things she did, and it was like, oh, okay, yeah, but I was like, show me that. Show me. And I would talk to my dad, and we would have conversations downstairs, and I'd be like, it's so hard talking to mom about this. And then she'll go to Switzerland, and she'll be like, oh, me and my mom, I go to my mom's house, and she expects me to clean, and I was sitting there like, I know exactly what you mean. And I'm sitting there like, yep, that's what you're getting. But I was like, no, because of all that anger in me, I was like, I just wanted her to get back so bad. And then I was just like,
the crazy part is, I don't even remember you being like that. Because even when we came to Florida for the 1 year anniversary of the ministry, I don't remember you being like
I wasn't trying to have nobody see that.
Oh,
Maybe.
She was faking?
I was fake as... Listen, last year, my birthday, was it last year? Yeah, just last year. It was right before she came back from Switzerland. And my dad was like, oh, your mom's coming. She might come right before your birthday. And I was like, okay. She could stay if she wants to. Her coming is going to do what? We're not going out. We don't hang around. We don't talk. So what's the point of her trying to come for my birthday? She can come for her birthday, so you guys can go out, but her coming for my birthday is not gonna do nothing.
So it was this year when you were just
I'm talking about 3-4 months ago.
When you just let it all
3-4 recently. You hear me? Recently. And just in that little amount of time, me and my mom been tight. I miss all that. And we all... Girl, God had to knock me down.
It was your fault.
It was all my fault. You couldn't tell me nothing. Nobody could tell me nothing. I was stubborn. Exactly. I was stubborn, cold-hearted. I locked off everybody. Everybody. I didn't want no friends. I
know, because I was trying to be your friend.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, I'm not. And that's what my mom laughs to this day. She was like, you remember how you used to say, Louise is your friend. That's not my friend. I was like, yeah, because you talked to her. And because of so much betrayal of me trying to be friends with people in the past, they would run and tell my mom every single thing. And it would come back and backfire me so badly that I did not desire to have any friends, because all they're going to do is run back to my mom. So if you were close with my mom a little bit, I know you're going to run and tell her. So why am I going? I couldn't trust no one. No one on this earth I trusted. Nobody. I barely trusted my own son. That's how bad it was. And he's a little kid, but no, but I'm being that's how serious it was. I didn't trust not one person. Not one person. I don't care what prophet will come in my face randomly and tell me. I didn't even trust whatever word they had. I didn't trust nothing my mama said. I didn't even trust the fact that she was a real prophetess. But I knew she was, but I just didn't trust the fact that if she told me something, it would be out of the mom love.
Right.
It wouldn't be out of... Exactly. So I struggled a lot going back and forth, like prophetess on this side, mom on this side. I don't want to talk to prophetess. I want to talk to mom, but I can't talk to mom. So I'm going to try to talk to prophetess. But prophetess, she might not see that because I'm her firstborn, I'm her baby, I'm back in her life. She gonna be like, oh, you're beautiful, or oh, you're gonna have a husband. I'm like, Ma, I don't even know if I want that. I can't see myself getting proposed to and having a wedding and all that stuff. I honestly, this all didn't start until 3-4 months ago.
I ain't gonna lie, sometimes when I be talking to her, I be like, okay, listen, I need to talk to auntie/mama. Okay.
Exactly.
Just for a few seconds.
Exactly.
I need some motherly advice.
And a lot of people don't understand it because they just be like, oh, you're preacher's kid, you're prophetess daughter. They expect so much out of me. They expect me to have it together. They expect me to know the Bible. They expect me to just, oh, you had a child and you're not married, like, and after I had Jay and not being married, I was like, well, I'm going to hell anyways, because I had a baby.
What they say.
And then I had the abortion. I was like, oh, I'm definitely going to hell. Straight ticket, straight there, every time. And I didn't even want to do better, because I in my head, I already had it in my head that I was already going to hell. So why try to do better and get better with God?
I think preachers' kids have a heavy burden. I think they do.
Every friend that I had that's in the ministry that I was friends with, the preacher's kid, we all shared the same story. And a lot of people don't know that because we're not allowed to tell it. We're not allowed to talk about it. But everybody who has a parent that's in the ministry, I feel like we go through more things than most kids that are just in the congregation.
And then too, because you are, I feel like because you know better, like you don't get a chance to go out in the world and make mistakes because you already know better. And that's why I feel like somebody we know is going to, the suffering, it's not going to be what they think it's going to be.
Exactly.
It's going to be, it's yours. It was hard, but that person's is going to be hard because you're literally, and not listening at all, not looking at all, and you're okay with that. And no matter how much I tell that person, that person looks at me like, yeah, all right, I'm going to do better. And that's what I used to say. It was invincible.
Yeah, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to do better. I'm going to prove my mom wrong that I can go out there and I can survive, because that's how she taught me. She taught me how to be able to handle all this load, because I've had this load on my shoulders all my life. I was the first one up in the morning on Sundays for church. I was up at 6. I made sure at nighttime, I made sure my dad's clothes were ironed, my mom's clothes were ironed and set out on the hanger. My brother and my sister clothes were done. My clothes were done. I made sure my brother and my sister ate. I always did my mama's hair. I made sure that my sister's hair was done. And I packed all the clothes, all their bags, like Bibles and tambourines and all that stuff. And all they had to do was wake up, eat, and get out the house. And I was the one that did everything. So it was just like, it was always so much on me. And I was just like, you literally molded me to take care of a family of 5. How you think I'm not gonna, like, I know I got this.
Yeah.
I've been doing it for more than 10 years. So of course I got this. Until, and I wanted to drop out of school because I remember my sister, she like threw up and it was like 3 in the morning, 3:30. And I had to wake up at 5:30 for school. And I was just so frustrated. I was like, it was one of those moments where I could have been like, I hate you, Mom. Because I was so mad at her, not knowing that because of her surgery and stuff, she was going through so much that she couldn't have an eye in the her. But I was going through so much where I was just like, I'm trying to go to school. Y'all want me to finish school. Y'all telling me not to drop out. But yet, y'all not taking y'all daughter. And I'm the one staying up late at night with her in the morning, taking care of her every single time. But I'm still supposed to go to school. I'm supposed to make, and my dad was not accepting nothing less than a B+. So I had to make sure I was doing good. And I had to make sure my sister was taken care of. And then they had the nerve to have another child. And I was like, the nerve of y'all to have another kid and not want to take care of it is buffoonery. Like my mom would say.
Buffoonery.
I was mad at my parents for so many years because I felt like they didn't see me. They didn't see me. I felt like I was screaming out and nobody was seeing me. And they just didn't see anything, no signs or nothing. And I always related to people who would take their lives and their parents would be like, oh, I didn't see the signs. And I was just like, that's gonna be me one day. And I feel like I wish that I could be on the other side and show up as a spirit and be like, this is your fault because you ain't see the signs. And I would go through so much because of that, because it was always so much on me. And then people would be like, oh, that's your daughter? Oh, God bless you, God bless you. And I was out there sleeping around, but she's like, oh yeah, my daughter's not doing nothing. And I'm just sitting there like, little do you know. But I was just like, I can't say nothing. I can't go to her if I'm having some problems down there. I can't let her know that I'm out there. I had to secrets of everything, and I had to go through everything by myself. I had little boyfriends and everything, and when I broke up with them, or when they broke up with me, I had to deal with that by myself, wishing that I could talk to my mom about it, but I couldn't because I had a little boyfriend on the side. I was like, this is just all, and I was dealing with school and home, and it was just so much, and learning how to actually grow up. Yeah. But I couldn't grow up because I had no choice to already be grown up when I was at 13.
Yeah.
And since I've been a grown up since I was 13, I had no choice. And I feel like when I moved out, I just wanted to be a kid. I just wanted to go out and have fun. I never been to a house party. I never been to this. I never been to that. So I was just like, when I move out, I'm going to be wildin'. You hear me? I'm about to go to all the
parties. That's how I feel. My mom wasn't even a PK. I wasn't even a PK.
That's why I was going to college.
My mama, she was, I call her a helicopter parent. She was very overprotective. That's why I say, when I went to college, baby, I was an all-you-can-eat buffet.
Yeah, that's how I felt.
So I was a little thought pocket.
Yeah, they and I feel like that's what they didn't want, because they do. But I couldn't go nowhere. And then they gave me a car. They got me a car, and I couldn't even use my car. They used my car. I had to ask to go somewhere, and I had a curfew on my phone.
The little blue car? No,
the silver one.
Oh,
the Cruise.
Oh, I don't know why I thought the Cruise was blue.
No, it's the friend the old friend I had, she had a blue one, but we're not gonna talk about that. But yeah, I had the car, and I had a phone curfew because I moved out, I think 22. I had a phone curfew at 21.
Oh,
I couldn't be on the phone past 11 o'clock. I had to have the house clean every day, all the time. I would say, oh, it's my sister calling, but I was texting my friend. My best friend, she would come over and help me clean the house just so that we can hang out, because I wasn't allowed to do nothing until the house was clean.
That's a good friend. Some friends don't even help.
And that's why I hold her dearly till this day, okay? Because we went through a lot. We talked about it the other day when we went to Mo's. We was like, yeah, you remember when I used to come over and help you clean just so we can go hang out to the park or something? I'm like, girl, those were the times. Just for her to have come over and be in the house with me was like a little bit of relief. Even though my sister and my brother were always in my business, but the fact of having somebody else there is what kept me. I had something else other than what was in the house. So when they allowed her to come over whatever, how long she wanted, I was so happy. I was like, yeah, you can come over. I gotta clean. She was like, it's okay. I just want your company. I was like, thank you, please. Thank you, Lord, for sending her. It was, they micromanaged everything. I went out one time with an acquaintance of mine, and they was like, be home by like, I think it was like 8, but the traffic here in Kissimmee is crazy. So from 6 to 8, I left on time to get there. I spent like 28 minutes there because if I didn't leave, I'd be late. I couldn't even, it was embarrassing because all the other kids were there and I couldn't hang out with them. And that was the first time I was able to be out. And I hated my mom for that because they put me on punishment because they said I was late. And I was like, y'all don't even understand. I barely made it. I had to leave right after, not even 30 minutes there to come back. And because I was stuck in traffic, I ended up being like 15 minutes late and I was on punishment. And I was like, this can't be happening. Why does this keep happening to me? It was bad. And then all those stuff is what triggered all that anger for so many years with my parents. And I finally feel free for the first time I can say that.
Well, I'm glad you gave all that up, sister, because we can't be hoarding that type of stuff. We got stuff we got to do.
Okay.
Do you feel like you're still dealing with consequences, though? Like,
oh, yes.
Like, residue.
Oh, yes.
I like to say residue.
I still, just being a single parent is hard. It really is. And no matter how, it's just having to deal with trying to get help out of somebody that you have a child with is ridiculous. So having to deal with that for the rest of my life is something that I'm going to have to deal with that for the rest of my life now. That's a lifelong consequence right there. You should have did better. You should have been married, but no, you want to be out there and have all that joy and enjoy the life out there because the grass was so much greener on the other side, and that's fake grass anyway. So I don't care what nobody say.
I know what Chris Brown said.
Yeah,
the grass ain't greener on the other
side. Nope, it sure ain't. No, it's so true, and that's why I try to tell people all the time, these past 7 years, 8 years have been very mentally, I feel like that attacks you more. Mentally, it was a lot. And I got asthma, but I was out here smoking heavy just because I feel like that was the only thing that was calming me. I couldn't deal with it on my own. And I feel like I've had God all my life, and it wasn't doing nothing for me. And smoking was. So I had to. I tried everything. I tried the tea. I was like, all right, I'm going to give it a break. I'm going to make a tea out of it. I bought the little machine. I was like telling my parents, oh yeah, this and that. I know she was just like, and I was just like, and I cried to her one day and I was like, Mom, I'm trying to do better, but I can't let it go because I feel like I can't do it without it because I get frustrated so much and everything triggers me and everything will bring me a flashback of my ex or this or that, and I just can't do it on my own. And she's like, God is a gentleman. He will help you. He will literally help you. And once I started believing that, that's when it actually started coming true. And I was like, dang, I ain't smoking a whole month and I'm doing okay. I ain't ripped nobody's head off. Okay, maybe this might work. Now I feel like one of those people be like, try Jesus, it works. Like, for real. Like, now I'm like, dang, I became one of those. But it's okay, because try him. It do work. When you literally give it to him, all to him, not no fakeness, okay, I'm gonna give you this problem, but I'm gonna try to deal with the rest. I need you to help me with just this problem. And that's what I was doing for a while I was here. I was like, I need you to just help me with this problem. And while we at it, I got this on my plate too. But I got the rest. I just need you to help me with this and this. And then I can do it. Partial. Yeah, you can't just give him partial is what I learned. I learned that I had to give it all to him. And once I did, I woke up the next day and I felt like a new person. Yeah. I felt like I got baptized or some type of weight lifted off. Yeah. Even when you came and you got baptized, I was like, I'm not doing that because I'm still doing so much. I still got all this anger. I'm not just trying to get wet. If I'm going to do it, I want to do it properly. I can swim the pool any other day. Like, I was not trying to hear it. And I was sitting there watching people getting baptized, and I was just like, I'm happy for you. I'm going to pray for you. That's so awesome for you. Great. One day it'll be me, but I don't believe it anytime yet because it's so much. I didn't think that all of that can just be shut off like by a click, by a snap of the finger.
I remember we was on the call one time and guy gave me like this vision of like, it was like I was bent over, like hunched over, and I had this huge boulder on my back. And he was like, that's what you look like, carrying around stuff that I should be carrying.
That's good.
And he was like, that's why you got anxiety. That's why you got depression. And I'm like, hey, my back do hurt. I am tired of carrying this. And that's what we look like in the spiritual realm when we don't surrender to God. We just carry around all this stuff, and then it's just like you just keep adding on there and piling. It's like, and you get exhausted, you get tired, and you can't carry all of that. Like, we're always supposed to bring our burdens to him.
Exactly.
But we don't. We try to handle it on our own. And when we do that, it puts us in a place of not depending on God, but depending on ourselves. And that's not a place that we should be in at all.
Just like when they say worrying is like worshiping the problem. And that hits every time I hear that. I'm like, that's so true. Because I would worry about things so much. I'm like, how can my mom not worry about this? How can my mom?
I know what see. I still wonder that.
I still do. The situations that she be dealing with now, I'm just like, how can you sit here and preach to people, but you out here dealing with this
and worship
to I don't know how she does that. She's so strong, and that's why I admire her, and I'm so close to her now. And like,
and I'm trying to learn from her. I'm like, how do you do that?
I don't know how, but I want to get there because I see how she gets blessed by doing nothing.
Just being obedient.
She can, just by being obedient, she'll walk out. Somebody bless her. She'll walk somewhere, favor. Go to gas station, favor. Go to Dollar Tree, favor. Go to Walmart, favor.
And her favorite, Ross,
favor. Every single day, all day, no matter where she goes, she gets favor everywhere. And I'm like, you know what? I need some of that. I need some of that.
It's because she be so obedient. And I think that's why I just be like trying to pull as much as I can without being a burden, like pulling. But it's so intriguing because I feel like your mom is the first real example of a Christian I've had. Like, I feel like she's the first person in my life that I've ever seen where I'm like, oh my gosh, like this person really loves God. They actually show their life represent the love of God. And I'm just like, I want to hold on to that. And I don't want to let it go. And I just seeing her be obedient in everything that she does, just seeing her just go through the things that she goes through in life and still worships God, still gives thanks to God. It's just like, man, and we get so caught up in little things that God asks us to do. But it's like, she be doing some of the hardest things ever. You know, I be wanting to sleep at 2 a.m. She be up worshiping and praying at 2 a.m.
And a lot of people don't see the behind the scenes because they'll be like in the ministry, she's like, oh, prophetess, pray for me about this, or prophetess this. And she goes through this thing where somebody will say have their knee hurting, and she'll feel their pain. Somebody will have a headache, she'll have a headache all day. Somebody has something wrong with their kidney and has to be rushed to the hospital, she in the hospital. By the time she gets to the hospital, they don't find nothing, she gets sent home.
I think it's because I think people don't know the sacrifices that she makes. You know, and they don't get to see it.
But I didn't either. And that's why. And I used to hate myself even more because I'm like, Joe, you really like took her for granted, thinking she was taking you and all this stuff. But for real, your mom really was interceding for you. And that's why I tell her all the time, thank you, Mom, for not giving up on me. Thank you for those prayers you sent out there for me, because it really protected me. And I didn't realize how much it protected me, but it protected me and my son. And I'm grateful every day. I wake up, I hear her, she's up. What do you need, Mom? Forget this job. They gonna hold on for a second, because listen, when I get fired, I'm going straight here. God, right here. That's what I have at the end of the day. So what do you need? Do you want something to eat? You want me to boil some water for you? Because that's a little thing for me now. But before, when I moved here, and she had my sister and my little brother do it, I'm like, why they always serve her? Why she can't go downstairs and do it herself?
It's what you have experienced is true transformation. You know, when you fully surrender to God, that's when God can really, you know, do his thing.
Yeah.
When you out here faking the funk, you know, like what she said tonight, it's like, you know, if you don't have a testimony, how are you going to bring it?
Yeah.
Like, you have a testimony. You know, just hearing from in the beginning, like, I had all this anger, resentment, and stuff built up towards my mom. But now, Mom, what do you need? Mom, you know, hanging out with my mom. I'll be there in 15 minutes. It's transformation. And it may seem like something so small, but in the spiritual realm, it's something so grand.
Yeah.
And it's like that opens up a path for you to be able to receive deliverance in other areas of your life. It opens up you to be able to receive the blessings that God has for you, because we can't receive certain things when we hold on to grudges, anger, bitterness, all these different things, because we don't really, it's like, it's not real forgiveness.
Yeah.
And it's like, if God forgives us, but I'm not forgiving others, how is God going to be able to?
Exactly.
And better yet, how am I going to be able to forgive myself? I can't forgive myself if I can't forgive everybody else. So I just love that you've experienced. Like I said, I love how you guys' relationship has evolved. It doesn't feel like 3 or 4 months to me. It really just feels like it's been like that forever, but I digress. I'm curious though, like, what advice would you give to someone who feels like they're currently living in disobedience? And what would you say to them to encourage them to get back into the will of God, but also allow them to experience forgiveness and grace with themselves? Because sometimes I feel like we have to show ourselves grace, because sometimes we will condemn ourselves. And there's no condemnation for those in Christ, by the way.
Yeah.
So
I condemning myself was my thing. But what I would say is, give it to God for real. Don't try to do it on your own. Like, you can try to do it on your own for 20 years, and you give it to God in one day, and you gonna realize how you wasted 20 years of your life for no reason, when you could have just gave it to God. And that's, I wish like how they have in movies, when yourself will come from the future and come talk to you.
Your younger self.
Because if it was like a sister, like my older sister or my cousin or whatever telling me, I already didn't listen, because I already went through all this because I didn't listen. But if I could tell myself and see myself tell myself, maybe stop trying to do it on your own. I know you can't depend on people because they've been letting you down, so you're so independent, but it's different with God. you can do that with God. He not gonna let you down. He's literally the only person you can depend on. The only one you can trust, and the only one you know that's not gonna leave you. And not just because it says in the Bible, but because it's actually happening.
Yeah.
And once you do that, your life gonna change for real. Because that's what it's been doing for me. And now when I look back, I'm just like, Joe, every day I wake up, and because I see how my mom is, and she could, with her situation, she could be different. She could be nasty. But she, every day, and I don't know how she does it, but every day, she's so gracious. She's like, you know what? I'm going to go to God, because if I act how my flesh wants to act, that's not going to be what he wants. And I'm just going to try to be in obedience. And obedience is better than sacrifice.
Yes, it is.
That's what she tells me all the time. And I'm just like, today, I'm going to give myself grace. If I don't work out, if I don't read this morning because I'm tired, read later. If you don't get to do that, it happens. Don't be so hard on yourself because you didn't get to read. The fact that you're not giving up is what you need to focus on, because you reading tomorrow or the next day, I'm reading for like 3 hours straight randomly, not realizing that, dang, it's been 3 hours that I've been reading. And I'm actually taking notes now. And that's one thing. Everybody expects me to know the Bible front and back because I'm prophetess daughter. Listen, I'll tell you right now, I probably know about 3 stories back of my hand right now from the Bible.
Me too.
It's like a factory reset. When I say, my mom was like, you didn't listen to anything I was saying all these years or something? Because I definitely talked to you about this. And I'm just like, Mom, I don't know how to explain it.
I was listening, but I
didn't hear nothing you said. I'm not going to even cap with you. I didn't hear nothing. So now I'm reading the Bible. I take notes so I can remember, so I can actually like really read it. And she got me this Bible where I can actually understand it, because I can't understand Bibles like that all my life. I was just reading them.
Especially the King James.
Will you hear me? I don't care what version, Amplified too. I was just reading it. I could read it in Bible study and just be like, read the whole thing. And you'd be like, so what? Tell me what happened. I couldn't tell you. I couldn't comprehend what was actually happening. But now my eyes are opening. I'm like, yo, there's so much drama in the book. That book is full of drama.
No, it literally is.
This book is juicy. I called my mom one time. I said, this girl had the nerve to do this, and then she was like, yo. I said, oh, did you know that he did this?
He said that man husband in the Bible because he wanted his wife.
This girl talking about, oh, I got my period, so you can't look under here for the things that I stole out your palace. Girl, not you using the period. Don't do that. I was like, there's so much stuff in the Bible. I'm like, what do I need to watch shows for? Because everything I need is right here. Is right in the Bible.
They can turn the Bible to reality.
I wish they would, because it's so much drama. And if people knew that it was really like that, I feel like more people would read it.
Because it's real life.
They don't. When I was growing up, it didn't really sound like so enjoyable to read.
No, because they was always reading them King James.
Yeah, and it was just boring. And it's sad to even say that, but people my age and younger, I feel like I take notes so that I can remember, but also so I can jot down the important parts to teach my son. So I can teach my son on things that, oh, this happened in the Bible and this happened in the Bible, because I want to be able to know so I can teach him, so he can teach, because he's a boy, so he's going to be a man, and he's going to be the one that's the head of the household and has to teach his children. And so I need to make sure I'm doing my part to make sure he can be able to teach his kids. So every day I'm just like, I'm striving to do better. I don't got my life together. And I that's the first thing I tell people. Please don't look at me and think that I got my life together. Because when I say I don't got it together, I don't got it together. I might cuss in my head one day and the next day I won't. And do not judge me on my actions, because I'm human just like you are human. I'm trying to get it together like you're trying to get it together. I might be a little head step on you on this part, but you might be a step ahead of me on this part. Do not judge people. And that's what I always did all my life. I judged people thinking that, oh, well, they got it together, so that's where I'm supposed to be. And that doesn't work. My mom always wanted me to be like her, and I'm like, I'm not like you. But you're trying to make me somebody I'm not. I need to be my own person, and I had to get away from that. And I want my own testimony. I want to figure out who I am and have my own relationship with God, not because, oh, the church is teaching you this or because somebody's telling you to do this. No, I want to actually have my own relationship, because when nobody's there, I want to be able to talk to God. Like, till this day, like, if I'm looking for something, I'm like, all right, Holy Spirit, activate. I'm gonna need you to help me. Please find this piece of paper. Two minutes later, I'm randomly looking through stuff. I find the paper. I'm like, hey, that's what's up. Thank you so much. Because that's how I talk. I'm like, I get so excited because I'm like, if I talk how I talk to regular people, I feel like I'll have a closer relationship with God.
Yeah.
And people think that they need to be like, dear God, Heavenly Father, I please help me find this paper. I would really, I'm like, please, I need this paper because, hey, listen, I need to pay this bill. I'm trying to do better. So please help me find this paper. Or I'll be like, if this is not the will of God, please help me with this.
Yeah.
Because and that's the only way I find things. And I'm like, oh, snap, he listens to me. Okay. I was like, oh, can you help me find this? I lose my inhaler a lot. I know, don't judge. But I lose my inhaler a lot the other day. I was like, God, please help me find this inhaler. I don't need to die today. Please help me find this inhaler. And then I'll pick up a pillow and it's right under there. I'm like, thank you, Lord. Thank you, Jesus. Hallelujah. But yeah, that's how I talk to him. And I feel like more people need to understand that the way things were done back then is not, I'm not going to say it's not right, but it's 2024. Talk to God how you want to have that relationship with him.
Yeah.
You need to be close with him like he's your best friend. You need to talk to him and about your problems and pray to him. You don't always gotta be like praying a certain way. Sometimes I pray like how I'm talking right now. I'm like, God, like I just went through so much right now and I'm getting frustrated about this, but I need you to help me, please, because I really can't do this on my own. I notice I'm slipping in this area, and I know people are gonna look at me like, no, you slipping in this area. I can't believe she did that. I can't believe Prophetess daughter did that. But like, dude, stop doing that. I'm human. Like, I'm not made out of gold. What you thought this was? I'm just like,
we make mistakes.
I'm human, and I had to look. That's the way I started looking at my mom. Like, she's only human.
Yeah,
there's no manual to being a mom. And what she went through so much, and then she had me, and then she had my sister and my brother, and she's been going through a hard path. I gotta be lenient on her too. Like, Mom, it's okay. You need a hug. I'm sorry for putting you through all this, because I know I ain't make it easier going through all that stuff. Because
I'm harder.
You hear me? Because when my sister be doing stuff, I'm like, dang, that was me. Now I know how my mama feel. Or if my son does something, like, dang, I did that when I was younger. That's probably how my mom felt. And I was just like, I'll go to her. I'll be like, Mom, the school called. And she's just like, and I was just, and my first thing was, I gotta go smoke because I'm frustrated. Because when it comes to my son, that's the touchy subject, and the devil knows that. So when he uses my son, I'm like, nah, I gotta go smoke because now this is happening. He's not doing good at school. And my mom was like, Joe, you're doing good. Relax, give it to God, because guess what? He knows that's your weakness. Don't give in.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, oh, you're right, Mom. You're right. You know what? I'm going to just go in the room. I'm going to put some praise and worship music on. I'm going to sing and give it to God. And then next thing you know, he'll start doing better in school. And that's my testimony for the next week. And I'm just like, thank you, God. Because I almost slipped up. I almost did. But instead of doing what I usually do and worrying, worshiping the problem, I gave the problem to you. And you literally fixed it.
And now by doing that, you can be an example to your son of what to do.
Yeah.
In the midst of heartache, in the midst of frustration and sadness and irritation. And I believe that we should be examples. We should.
I did that with him the other day. He was frustrated about something. And then the other day he was frustrated about a game. And then this the first time I did this with him. I said, come here, baby. He's like, what? I'm like, let's pray. He goes, huh? I'm like, let's pray, babe. The same way we pray in the morning and night, I want us to pray. So whenever you out there, if something happens and you need God and you need to calm down, or somebody messes with you or blows with you, or something bad happens, I want you to start now. I want you to go to God about it right away. And we prayed. It was like, God, help us today, because I was having a rough day that day. I was like, help me and Jay today. Help us with our frustration. Help us with our emotions. Help us to not get so upset. And when we do, please, please help us. And then he was like, he was surprised, but he felt better right after. And I said, look, God listened to you. And now look, he's like, you're right, mommy. And the other day I said, don't get mad. You know what we need to do? I know, I gotta pray. I'm like, yeah, it helps, don't it? He goes, yeah, it do. I'm like, I told you, bro. I told you. This is how I talk to him. I'm like, I told you, bro. I told you. I'm not gonna tell you a lie. Mommy's here to help you. I'm trying to help you, because you're not the only. I said, mommy want to cry too. And I want him to see that, because as a kid, we didn't see our parents being struggling and feeling how they felt with the struggling. And I would be like,
they hid everything.
They hid everything. They didn't show how bills were doing, how it made them go through things. Oh, I gotta figure out how to pay this, until I got older, and I'm like, dang, this is what mom been doing this whole time. And so I'd be like, babe, mommy cried today. You cried? Yeah, I cried today. You know I do cry, right? He gets so surprised. And I'm just like, I do cry, because
kids think their parents is superheroes.
I know.
Heroes, and they don't cry, they don't do nothing.
He don't believe I was a kid. I have to show him pictures. He'd be like, fella, you know mommy was a kid too. You was? Yes, I was. I sure was. And guess what? When I have a hard day at work, I cry sometimes, because I get so overwhelmed with so many emails, and my boss expected me to do my emails and somebody else's emails without a heads up. Like, who does that? I gotta mentally prepare for that. And if I don't, and there's just so much, because I did not expect that today. And then on top of that, I gotta do homework with him at the same time I'm working. Get him to eat dinner, get him in bed at a certain time, so he can get good grades. And if he doesn't get good grades, I don't need the school looking at me like I'm a terrible mom, because I can't help my son with homework and do what he needs to do, and he's failing because I can't, because I'm working. It's just like so much, and I'm just like, God, I need you to help me. And this is a recent thing that I'm struggling with now. And I'm just like, God, I just need you to help me. I just need you to help me with when it comes to this, because the homework that they got now in second grade is ridiculous. Ridiculous.
And the spelling words.
The spelling words is ridiculous. And I've never had spelling words that were at least 10 letters and hard, like I just don't understand. And the English don't even make sense for me to teach him. Oh, well, I and E makes this sound, or the G is silent. Why is the G silent? Maybe I don't know. It's just it's English. Why is design spelled DESIGN? I don't know. Why is Russell, it got a silent T? What's the T there for then? Why is it silent? Why you put these silent letters in?
I have Switzerland education.
That's how I grew up. Everything in like the language, even in English, I didn't do good in school, because when I came back, my brain was like rewired to the European system. So reading and comprehending and history was difficult for me, because I already knew all the cities, sub-cities, and everything, countries in Europe. I can still to the day I can't tell you where the states are in the United States. I can't tell you none. Please don't ever ask me. I will fail, and I'm 30. I will fail to this day, and it's like I have to do school over again. And I'm just like, God, I know because of my disobedience, I don't have no help now with having a father here, with his father here with me to help me through this journey, to be there to at least feed him so I can cook, or do homework with him so I can do this, or you put him to bed so I can work. And it's been hard. And that's one of the consequences that I'm going to have to live with. And that's why I'm so stuck on doing it right now. I'm not moving out now until I'm married. I'm not trying to have sex. I'm not trying to do none of that because I'm tired of being sick and tired of going through what I've been going through. I've finally had enough. And some people, it's not until they've had enough is when they stop. I've had enough.
Yeah.
I'm done. I want to do it right. I want to be able to get married, then have kids if my husband wants any. I'm just like, I'm done.
Yeah.
God knocked me down to my knees. He really did.
Sometimes he has to do that.
He do.
Sometimes we have to go to that. And sometimes that's the only way that God can get our attention. It's sad that it has to get to that point.
It is.
But sometimes some of us have to learn the hard way.
Yep.
And I'm just grateful and thankful that you were able to experience what you experienced on behalf of my Twisted Twenties podcast family. You know, for those who are living in disobedience, I hope that this episode will put them in a place of repentance.
Yeah.
And in a place of surrenderance to God, because it's so important for us to be inside of God's will.
Thanks.
And, you know, because God is not obligated to bless you and protect you and help you when you are outside of his will. It's his grace that allows him to do that. And so I just want to say thank you for being vulnerable, being honest, and sharing your testimony. I'm gonna have to get your mama on here.
Oh, girl,
she can share her.
Girl,
that episode gonna have to be 3 or 4 episodes long.
Yes.
Oh,
it's too much.
Gonna put it in the book and call it.
Yeah. Just do it like a month. Like, you know how they do like a Daniel Fast, just every day, just an episode, because it's just so much. Part 1, part 2, part 202.
Seriously,
no, I'm not even kidding. There's so much, but I'm thankful to God for not giving up on me, because he knew whatever he want. He didn't have to be this lenient on me, because I sure wasn't to the greatest out there. So thankful to God, but I'm thankful for you as well. I'm so grateful to have you in my life. Since you've been in my life, it's been like God was like, you said you needed a good friend. I got you. I got the creme de la creme, baby. I got her. You put you in there, and at first, because of my disobedience, I was like, that's not my friend. That's my mama friend. And then when I gave it to God, I was like, dang, God really was looking out for me. And I love this family. Yeah, I really appreciate you, and I really hope this does help anybody out there and let them know, like, listen, you don't gotta have it all together, because listen, God will take you as you are, and he's gonna do the rest. He's gonna shape you. Don't try to do it. Don't try to come to him perfect. Come to him as you are. And I never understood that. Come to him as you are, just like how you are,
because we can't come to him perfect. We're not perfect.
Exactly.
We're imperfect people.
Even more instance,
I used to think that, like, I gotta have all this together before I go to God.
Yes.
But God wants us to come to him broken, sad, and going through things, because that's how we receive testimony.
Exactly. And because of all the church hurt and trying to get away from God, I was just like, when I get better, I'm gonna go back to church. I'm gonna do better with God once I get better. I felt like I was going backwards more than I was getting better.
What your mama said today, she was like, quit repeating yourself. You sound like a broken record.
Yeah, no, but it's so true, and I really hope it helps somebody the same way. When I listen to the podcast, I listened to one episode, and it helped me. So now I'm hoping that it trickles down to everyone else that's going through what I went through. All the anxiety, the anger, the fear, all of that.
I believe that it will, sister. I believe that it will.
Thank you. It's been real.
It's been real. Now, make sure you guys follow JoJo Bake.
Well,
you know, Instagram hating, but yeah, it's gonna be up soon. It's gonna be up soon. I'll let my followers know about JoJo Bake, because my sister make the best sweet potato pies in the south of the United States.
and my chocolate chip cookies that everybody loves.
Yeah, I'm so glad we did this, sister. And like I said, thank you. And I'll talk to you more because I had a vision when we were doing this, but I'll tell you after we get done. But yeah, I love you guys. You guys know how I feel about you. Thank you for your support each and every single episode. I love each and every single one of you guys. Peace, love, and blessings. T. Louise and JoJo.
Later.
So